This is the iPhone 11 released almost 7 years ago in 2019, and back then it was a powerhouse with an incredibly powerful chip and incredibly good cameras. It is actually so good that it can in fact run the newest iOS 26 software. However, in 2026, it has lost most of its value, where you can buy it for super cheap prices. But with iOS 27 potentially dropping support for the iPhone 11 and the phone getting older, is it actually worth buying this almost 7 years later? And if you already have this phone, should you buy a new one? And as always, let's start with the build of this phone. The iPhone 11 has a pretty sleek design with aluminum edges, a glass back, and overall feels super comfy to hold in the hand. Now on the front there's a 6.1-inch LCD screen, a huge KSI forehead-sized notch, which houses all of the Face ID components and the camera. But let's focus on the display for a moment. You see, iPhones from the iPhone 12 and onwards use an XDR OLED display, and the iPhone 11 Pro uses an OLED display. The iPhone 11, however, is limited to an LCD screen. Now, XDR OLED displays are significantly better than LCD screens. With OLED screens, you get more accurate colors, true black, and a much higher brightness level. And an LCD screen also requires thicker bezels, which is clearly visible here on the iPhone 11. With that said, the iPhone 11 screen is mediocre and can only reach a peak brightness of up to 625 nits. In simpler terms, it is perfect for indoor use, but not very visible in bright outdoor environment. Now that's out of the way, let's talk about the camera. This phone has a dual camera setup on the back, and a year and a half ago I would have called this design outdated, but with the iPhone 16 and 17 looking almost the same, I'm not sure anymore. Anyways, it's the specs and the performance that matters, not the looks. Up top we have the 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and on the bottom we have a 12 megapixel wide lens. Now both cameras can take some amazing photos in good lighting, and the photos are looking natural with great colors, and the autofocus is super fast too. The iPhone 11 was also the first iPhone with low light mode, and almost 7 years later it is still doing fine. Here are some pictures compared to the newer iPhone 15 Pro, and honestly it doesn't look that bad. You can also film up to 4K at 60 FPS, and it does have video stabilization, which makes the overall video look smoother. Now, although the cameras aren't that bad, what is bad in 2026 is the hardware. This phone has an A13 chip, 4GB of RAM, up to 256GB of storage, a lightning port, and a 3110 mAh battery. All of this is pretty mediocre by 2026 standards, but that's only on paper. So we really have to look at the real life performance to see whether this phone is actually good or not almost 7 years later. I've been using this phone for about 2 to 3 months now, and almost 7 years after its release, it is actually doing pretty well. It can run and handle the liquid glass design on the newer iOS 26 very smoothly, and everyday tasks like web browsing, social media, and general use are easily handled. However, understandably, it is slower with heavier tasks like gaming, where it gets very hot, which isn't great for the battery. Speaking of the battery, it's alright. It heavily depends on the battery health, of course. Mine is at 84%, so with my normal usage, it actually lasts more than a full day. Now, a general tip when buying an older iPhone is to look for one with battery health above 80%. Now, even though this phone is running the iOS 26, as I mentioned, this might be the last major update. This raises the question of whether it's actually worth buying the iPhone 11 in 2026. In my opinion, being 1 or 2 iOS versions behind shouldn't stop you from buying this phone, as it will function just fine. But if you want a newer software, you'll probably need to buy a newer phone. So all in all, it is in fact actually worth buying this phone if you can get it for cheap. A simple rule is that if it costs around $100 to $130 and the battery health is above 80%, it is worth buying. I personally bought mine for about $110. Now, if you already have this phone, it is still usable for about 1 or 2 years, but an upgrade is recommended. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.